In this video, we're going to look to see how to perform the standard algorithm when multiplying fractions. So our first example, we have a whole number times a fraction. Our second example, we have a mixed number times a fraction. And our third example is a fraction times a fraction. Now, the algorithm for multiplying fractions, regardless of the types of factors that you have, is always your numerator times your numerator over your denominator times your denominator. So if we know our facts, these are super easy once you set up the problem. So you literally multiply across. So let's look at 4 times 3/8. Now, I know that 3/8 is already broken up into a numerator and a denominator, but 4 is a whole number. So I first have to make 4 a fraction. In order to make 4 a fraction and still have it keep its value of 4, you simply put your whole number over 1, because that does not change the value. 4 divided by 4 is still, 4 divided by 1 is still 4. That's why we can do that. So you put your whole number over 1, your fraction stays the same, and you multiply across. 4 times 3 is 12, 1 times 8 is 8. Now, we don't want to leave this as an improper fraction. We want to convert it into a mixed number or a whole number. So 12 divided by 8, the closest I can get, is going to be 1 with 4/8, or 4 left over the denominator of 8, which that can then be simplified to 1 and 1/2. So again, what we did is we put our whole number over 1, not changing the value, and we multiplied straight across. Numerator times numerator gave us 12, denominator times denominator gave us 8, and we simplified by saying 12 divided by 8 is 1 with a remainder of 4 over 8, which then reduces to 1 whole and 1/2. Okay, so the main thing when multiplying whole numbers times fractions is simply putting that whole number over 1. Now, if we look at this, we have a mixed number times a fraction. So in order to be multiplying fraction times fraction, we're going to go ahead and change this mixed number into an improper fraction. In order to do that, we're going to multiply our denominator times our whole number and get 10, and we are going to add our numerator of 2. So 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 is going to give me 12 over 5. And again, this stays the same, times 1/2. So once I've set up my problem, I simply do numerator times numerator is 12 over denominator times denominator, which is 10. And when I divide 12 divided by 10, I'm going to get 1 with 2 as a remainder, and 10 is going to stay the same. I'm going to change that. I'm going to simplify it, and I'm going to get 1 and 1/5. Okay, and how I got from 2/10 to 1/5 is knowing that 2 is the greatest common factor between these two numbers. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, 10 divided by 2 is 5. So with mixed number times fraction, the main component of this, in order to set it up, is to change that mixed number into an improper fraction first and multiply straight across. All right, let's look at our last one. This is the most basic because it's already set up for you, and you simply multiply across. So 3 times 2 is 6. 4 times 6 is 24. Okay, so I already have my proper fraction of 6/24, and the greatest common factor between these two is 6, so I'm going to simplify this into 1/4. And how I did that is 6 divided by 6 is 1, 24 divided by 6 is 4. Okay, so the main thing with this, it's already set up for you, so the only thing you do is multiply straight across, and you simplify or reduce if you are able to. So that is multiplication. If you have a different combination, let's say you had a mixed number times a mixed number, you would do the same thing in making them both improper fractions. As long as when you set it up, you're multiplying fraction times fraction, whether it's an improper fraction times a proper or a proper times a proper, as long as it is a fraction.